This is the Possible Care for Dogs. The podcast begins.
Welcome to a new deep dive. Today we're shrinking down to size, way down, to explore the world of one of the most iconic tiny breeds out there. The Yorshire Terrier.
Yorkies.
Yorkies, yeah. They might be small, but anyone who knows one knows they have these, huge personalities.
Definitely. They fill a room.
They really do. And, just like those big personalities, they have some pretty specific health needs that, well, they need a bit of extra attention.
That tracks. Toy breeds often do.
Exactly. And we've got a great source to unpack today. It's a guide by Jude called Yorshire Terrier Health and Longevity Guide. Essential best practices for a vibrant and long life.
Sounds comprehensive.
It does. So our mission today is really to dive deep into this guide and pull out the essentials, the absolute best practices for keeping a Yorkie not just ticking along, but really vibrant and healthy.
That's a great goal. And it's so important with toy breeds like Yorkies. Their unique physiology, their tiny size affects everything, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, think about their dental structure, their metabolism, even their joints. It's all scaled down, which brings specific challenges. So a guide like this, focusing on breed-specific care, that's where you see the real difference in their quality of life.
Okay, makes sense. So let's unpack what Jude's guide actually reveals then.
Let's do it.
All right, so jumping into the first section of the source, it covers the common health issues, sort of understanding the vulnerabilities, right?
Know what to look out for.
And the very first one it flags, dental disease. The guide points right to their tiny jaws, those tightly packed teeth, basically making them super vulnerable to plaque and tartar.
Yeah, that's classic for many small breeds. Not much space in there.
And get this, the source mentions a statistic, I think it was from the Journal of Veterinary Dentistry. It said over 85% of Yorkies over age 3 showed signs of advanced dental disease.
Wow, over 85% advanced.
Yeah, not just common, rampant. What does that tell us?
Well, it screams that this isn't a minor issue for them. It's huge. That small mouth is just a perfect storm for buildup. And, it's not just bad breath or losing a tooth.
Right.
It causes real pain, makes eating hard. And the scary part is that bacteria from the mouth can actually spread.
Spread where?
Through the bloodstream. To the heart, kidneys, liver, vital organs. So the guide's advice here is spot on. Daily brushing. That's the gold standard.
Every day.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
With dog-safe toothpaste, of course. And then yearly professional cleanings are pretty much essential. Things like dental chews or water additives can help too, but they're supplements to the main routine.
Okay, so that 85% number really hits home why the daily brushing is so stressed.
Exactly. It's consistent, simple steps making a massive difference.
Okay, moving on then. The guide brings up collapsed trachea. You hear about that distinctive cough they can get?
The goose honk cough.
That's the one. The source says it's often because of a weakened trachea, which is apparently common in toy breeds. Can you break that down simply?
Sure. So the trachea, their windpipe, it's held open by these rings of cartilage. In some small dogs, these rings can be, a bit weaker, or they might flatten over time.
Okay.
So the airway gets narrower. This causes irritation, especially when they get excited or if they pull on a collar, or even in smoky or dusty air. That's when you hear the cough.
So what does the guide suggest?
Really practical stuff. First, absolutely use a harness, not a collar. Takes all the pressure off the throat.
Right, that makes sense.
Managing their weight is also key. Extra weight puts more strain on their breathing. And just avoiding irritants, smoke, strong perfumes, even really hot, humid air can help keep things calm.
Okay, harness, not collar, manage weight, avoid irritants. Got it. Next up, the source talks about hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. It says this is especially risky for puppies and older Yorkies. And the symptoms listed like shakiness, being really lethargic, even fainting sound quite scary.
They are. And it really points to how different metabolism is in these tiny dogs. Puppies haven't quite got their blood sugar regulation down yet, and senior systems might be declining.
So they just don't have reserves.
Exactly. Their small body mass means they don't store much glucose, and their faster metabolism can burn through it quickly if they miss a meal or exert themselves a lot.
So how do you manage that?
Prevention is key. The guide recommends feeding 3 or 4 small meals a day instead of one big one. Keeps the blood sugar steadier.
Okay. Frequent small meals.
And keeping a high-calorie glucose gel, like Nutrical, on hand is really important, especially for puppies or susceptible dogs. If you see those symptoms, a little bit on their gums can give them a quick boost while you call the vet.
Good tip. Having that emergency gel sounds crucial.
It really can be.
Okay, and the last one in this common issues section is luxating patella. Slipping kneecaps, right?
That's it.
Causes that sort of hopping gait or sudden limp you sometimes see. The guide says it's common in lots of small breeds.
Yes, it often comes down to genetics. The groove in the thigh bone where the kneecap, the patella, is supposed to sit, isn't deep enough, so it can pop out of place.
Ouch. Does it always need surgery?
Not always. Mild cases can often be managed. The guide lists some good best practices, like trying to avoid lots of jumping on and off furniture that reduces stress on the knees.
Okay.
Keeping them at a healthy weight is really important here too. Every extra ounce puts more load on those joints.
Makes sense. Anything else?
And maybe considering joint supplements, things like glucosamine and MSM. They might help support the cartilage health. It kind of raises the question of how much we can manage these genetic things through just lifestyle choices, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. Proactive management. So, okay, we've looked at some potential problems. Now let's shift gears to building health proactively, starting with nutrition.
Always a cornerstone.
The guide makes a point that even though Yorkies are tiny, their food needs to be really nutrient-dense, high energy, but without causing weight gain.
That's the balance. Small stomachs, high metabolism.
Yeah. And the guide's pretty specific on what to look for. Toy or small breed formulas focus on real meat proteins, healthy fats. And it explicitly says avoid fillers, corn, soy, artificial dyes.
Good advice. Quality ingredients matter.
And it also stresses feeding measured portions, no free feeding.
Right. And so what on this guide links it to real health outcomes. It mentions a 2021 review, I think Veterinary Clinics of North America, that showed a strong connection between these tailored small breed diets and a lower risk of metabolic diseases in dogs like Yorkies.
Wow, okay. So it's not just about weight.
Not at all. The type of food and how you feed it, those measured portions, are fundamental for preventing bigger issues later on.
That's powerful. Okay, nutrition is key. Next, the source covers grooming and coat maintenance. And it makes this interesting point that Yorkies have hair, not fur.
Right, like human hair. It just keeps growing.
And it says poor grooming isn't just, looking messy.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That unique hair demands regular attention. If you don't groom them, mats form really quickly.
And mats are bad.
Oh, they're awful. They pull on the skin constantly, which is painful. They can hide irritation, lead to nasty skin infections, and parasites love hiding in them, right next to the skin.
Yikes. Okay, so what's the routine then?
Daily brushing. The guide says that's pretty much non-negotiable to stop tangles before they become mats.
Daily. Okay.
Then professional grooming, maybe every 4 to 6 weeks, to manage the length and keep sensitive areas clean: paws, face, sanitary areas. And little things too, like using tear stain wipes daily and cleaning their ears weekly to prevent irritation and infections there.
It sounds like quite a commitment, but necessary.
For this breed, definitely. It's part of their specific health needs.
All right. So moving on to the next section. Activity, connection, and that overall long-term well-being. The guide says despite being tiny, Yorkies are little dynamos, full of energy, curious.
They really are. Don't let the size fool you.
It recommends aiming for about 20 to 30 minutes of dedicated activity each day.
Which doesn't have to mean running a marathon.
No, exactly. The examples are really practical. Simple walks, playing fetch, even indoors in small spaces, tug toys.
That they enjoy?
Yeah. And it really emphasizes their need for interaction. Says they thrive on attention, learning tricks, mini obedience sessions. Oh, and rotating their toys to keep things interesting.
Mental stimulation is just as important as physical for them. And the guide actually connects this to wider well-being. It points to a 2022 study in animals that looked specifically at Yorkies.
Oh, yeah. What did it find?
It found that daily structured play was linked to really positive things like increased focus, less anxiety behavior, and even better sleep quality.
Interesting. So play isn't just burning energy, it's good for their heads, too.
Absolutely. Mental and emotional health benefits. It's crucial for a balanced, happy Yorkie.
That leads perfectly into the next point, emotional health and bonding. The guide calls them Velcro dogs.
Huh. That's accurate.
Says they just live to be by your side and really don't handle being left alone for long stretches well.
Very true. That intense bond is wonderful, but it means they can be prone to separation anxiety if you're not careful.
So the guide stresses early socialization and using gentle training methods. Why are those so important?
Well, early positive socialization, exposing them gently to different sights, sounds, people, other nice dogs, helps them grow into confident adults. It helps prevent that sometimes yappy or defensive behavior that often comes from fear.
Okay, build confidence early.
Exactly. And gentle, positive reinforcement training works best because they are quite sensitive. They respond much better to encouragement and rewards than anything harsh. Creating predictable, cozy routines also makes them feel really secure and loved.
Velcro dogs need security. Got it. Okay, finally, let's look at the long game. Vet care and lifespan monitoring. The source is optimistic here, saying with the right care, Yorkies can live long lives, often into their mid-teens.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And consistent vet care is absolutely fundamental to achieving that longevity and, crucially, maintaining their quality of life as they age.
What does the guide highlight as essential vet care?
Annual dental checks. Back to that issue again, non-negotiable. Annual blood work is also really recommended to catch any internal issues early, before you even see symptoms.
Like what kind of issues?
Well, it specifically mentions monitoring liver health, especially for something called portosystemic shunts. It's basically where blood bypasses the liver so toxins don't get filtered properly. It's rare, but seen more in Yorkies, so it's something vets watch for.
Okay, liver health. Good to know.
But beyond specific tests, the guide really stresses just watching for any changes. Appetite, energy level, any cough, how they're moving. Noticing small shifts early can be key.
Being observant.
Exactly. And this is where the source kind of ties it all together. It references a clinical report from Frontiers in Veterinary Science. This report found significantly improved longevity in toy breeds like Yorkies when owners consistently prioritize a few key things.
Which were?
Weight management, dedicated dental care, and early diagnostics through those regular vet visits. There's a powerful link there between consistent care and longer, healthier lives.
That's really motivating. So when you step back and look at everything this guide covers, what's the main takeaway for someone with a Yorkie?
I think it's that these little dogs, they're so fiercely affectionate and full of life, right?
Totally.
And they deserve, and frankly need, a health routine that's just as dedicated as they are. We've talked about understanding the specific risks, dental, trachea, knees.
Right.
Implementing that targeted care, the right nutrition, the dedicated grooming, ensuring they get that balance of activity, both physical and mental, nurturing their emotional needs.
And the vet care.
And that consistent veterinary oversight, it all fits together.
So it's about being proactive, really.
Exactly. By understanding and actually doing these specific things, the guide highlights, the daily brushing, using a harness, picking the right food, not skipping those vet checks. You're not just fixing problems, you're actively boosting their quality of life.
You're stacking the odds in their favor.
Precisely. Stacking the odds for more happy, healthy years together. It's informed care tailored specifically for them.
So this deep dive really gives you, the listener, a clear, actionable roadmap. It's straight from the source material, laying out how to provide the best possible care for your tiny but definitely mighty companion.
It really does. And thinking about that clinical report again, the one from Frontiers in Veterinary Science, it found such a significant link between focusing on these seemingly small, consistent actions, dental care, weight watching, early vet checks, and significantly longer lives for dogs like Yorkies.
Yeah, things we might easily brush off as minor.
Exactly. So here's something to ponder. What other seemingly small, consistent acts of care, maybe things we do for ourselves or even for the people in our lives, might have similarly profound long-term positive impacts that we tend to dramatically underestimate?